So I'm going to be recording a Firewing 64 tutorial here for the any percent speedrun. Um, so this game is kind of a bad demo that that a couple guys found online and started running, and that I ended up learning. But the demo itself is not great. It's got some interesting stuff, but it is just very poorly made. So some of that interesting stuff gets a little bit covered up. But the run is actually pretty interesting. So there are a few things to know before running. So first off, after every run, you have to delete your save manually. So there is a program that Refrag made that I will put in the description. If you have that program active, when you close the game, it'll automatically delete your save and relaunch the game. That makes resetting so much less painful, so I would absolutely recommend anyone who wants to run this game will get that program. Again, it's linked down in it'll be linked down in the description, and it's also in the resources page on speedrun.com. The next thing to note, the game will not save your inputs, like your input changes between closing it, which is awful. So every single time you launch the game, if you're going to do runs, you have to fix your controls. And there are a few things that I would recommend doing for controls that make the game much less painful to run. The first thing is you're going to want to bind the move camera right and left. I use the triggers. I would recommend using the triggers. That's going to be the easiest way to do it. The second thing would be to rebind glide from X to one of your shoulder buttons, either right or left shoulder, whichever is more comfortable for you. I would recommend not using keyboard controls because they're really bad. They are just actually terrible. I don't know who thought that this was a decent way to do keyboard controls, but they were wrong. But that's everything you need to do before the game. There is an auto splitter for the game. It should become packaged directly with live split if you just activate it. If you want to know how to do that, there are tutorials out there for how to activate auto splitters in live split. I'm not gonna do that. But anyways, the timer for the game starts after this scrolling text when it brings up press enter to begin. As soon as you press A here and to start the game, that's when the timer is going to start. And it takes about half a second after the game fades in before you have control. But before we start doing anything, I'm going to explain some of the movement options. So there are basically 3 buttons for this game outside of camera. So you have jump, you have attack, and you have glide. Glide when you're on the ground is also kind of a sprint. So sprinting on the ground is the fastest way to move in the game by a lot. So anytime you're able to, anytime you're just moving from point A to point B and there's no jumping involved, you just want to be holding sprint and running. But there's also some ways to kind of combine those movement techniques. Or those controls. So if you hold sprint and you press the attack button, it's B by default. Then you'll roll. The other thing on controls, sometimes that doesn't open because this game is poorly made. But when I rebound glide to right bumper, I know Pasta also rebinds his attack button to X. He finds that more comfortable. I'm more comfortable with that on B. That's totally personal preference, but whichever you prefer. But anyways, so holding glide and rolling, it does very little on the ground. But if you do it while you're jumping, you can gain a lot of extra height if you do it like near the apex of your jump. So you want to do it while you're still moving up, but you as close to like the top of your jump as possible. And that just gives a lot of extra height. Then for the second jump, you can gain even more height, and that's the inputs for that are a little bit more complicated. So what you're going to want to do is hold glide. Like, you can hold glide through this entire thing, or you can let it go after you roll. Either way works. I find it more comfortable to let go after I roll, but if you are holding glide through the entire thing, you have a little bit more of a timer on your second jump, because once you're like actually gliding, you can't use your second jump. But if you jump, roll, let go of glide, and then you press jump, attack, and glide all at the same time, you kind of get locked into this kind of like T-posey animation here, and you'll actually gain height from that for about a second. So that can give you a lot of extra height on some of these jumps, versus just like a double jump, which gives you very little extra height. The other thing you can do is ground pound. So that's just double tapping attack in the air. It is very finicky and sometimes just chooses to not work. So I kind of just like mash attack in the air, and that is mostly fine, but it'll still break sometimes. Ground pounding is used very infrequently. You're only ever going to use ground pounding when you're trying to get into water, like you're trying to drop down into water. Otherwise, it is always bad. Like, you actually move slower. Like, even if you're trying to drop down, just falling is faster than ground pounding in every situation. So you will only use this if you need to ground pound to break an object, or if you need to ground pound to get into water, and that's it. So that's basically all the movement options other than wall kicking. So I guess I can talk about that a little bit. So to do wall kicks, you have to be aiming like directly into the wall, otherwise it just won't work. But you can actually roll off of wall kick, and it gives you a lot more speed. But you can't wall kick if you're holding glide. Like, it just won't work. It won't do anything at all. So what you have to do to get a roll off a wall kick is you can jump, get a wall kick. So you jump into the wall, let go of glide. Make sure you're not holding glide when you're trying to jump, and then jump, and then as soon as you hit jump, hit your glide and your attack button, and that'll give you a roll off the wall. And that gives you a lot of height off of a wall kick. So you're going to use that pretty frequently if you're comfortable doing it. And then that should be all the movement tech. So that should be everything you need to know in terms of that. There is one more thing to know that you're going to use for movement, but it's the only major glitch that's used in the run, and that is, some people call it infinite heights. I prefer vertical zip. Whatever the term, it's just a way to shoot yourself into the air really fast. And that is kind of done by, you're going to hold the dash button, hold the glide button, and then jump into a rock, and you want to touch your feet to the rock as you're jumping up. So you want to just barely brush the rock, and if you can do that with the right timing, which is pretty precise, you will kind of get launched into the air. But be ready to fail it a lot because it is not free at all. And then when you're going up, you can cancel the vertical speed by using your second jump, and you can use that to stop at the right height so that you're not like just kind of flying up into the air unstoppably. You will eventually stop if you just let go of the jump button, but it takes a while, like here. Whoops. This, like I said, it's gonna take some practice and you're still going to miss it. Usually not this much though. And some vertical zips are easier than others. So this one is actually not too bad, but like I am still gaining height and now I've started falling. So that was an extra like 3 seconds after I let go of A where I was still gaining height. Like holding A, just let go of A, still going up, and now I'm stopped, and now I'm starting to go down. So canceling it with your double jump is going to be very important, because you get a lot more control over it, and you don't have to go like significantly higher than you actually need to. But that should be all the kind of movement tech in the run. So let's go ahead and get started on the routing. So let's see. At the start, you're going to be right around here. So you're going to want to run between these trees around this corner and then get a jump with a height roll and a height double jump into the painting. And then during the load screen, like during that like kind of puzzle or the kind of a wipe in, you can actually control your character. So like right here I already have control. And then right from the start you want to go forward and right while you're in that load screen. You'll end up around here-ish. And then you want to get a jump from here up to this area. Now there's a lot of ways to kind of do that depending on how much height you can get. So you always want to jump off of this hill, because jumping off of a hill while you're running up it gives you a lot of extra height. So you, like, if you don't gain enough height, you can either just jump straight up, like with one jump. That is a thing you can do. It is relatively difficult, but it's not too bad. That's not super hard. Or if you can't do that, you can double jump to make it. If you still can't do that, you can get a height jump, like the extra like canceled jump kind of thing on the second jump to make it. And if you're still having trouble, you can get a wall kick and then make it like that. So any of those are fine. Just whatever, just get up here as fast as possible. And if you just make your decision based on like how much height you're able to get off of your jumps. Then you want to jump onto that island to get that silver coin. So again, there's a few ways to do it. The easiest way is just to do it the intended method. Jump up to here, jump up to here. But you don't have to do that. So what you could do is, for example, jump over to here and then double jump up. You don't want, if you're going to do a double jump to get up, you don't want to go straight at it because you'll just end up underneath the rock. You can make it in one jump, but it is relatively tight. I'm still not consistent at it, but it relies on kind of jumping off of this slope while you're running up it. And you have to do it in a way where you're not going to bonk too, because if you touch the wall, it'll kind of like eat your height, like that. There we go. Like, you can jump all the way up, but there's a lot of ways to get up. Just kind of experiment based on like how much height you can get. Grab the silver coin. Now there's a route divergence, so you can dupe this coin by exiting the painting and re-entering it, and that'll respawn the coin. That is theoretically the fastest route, but it means you have to do a hard trick later in the run. I'll explain that more when I get there, but it is not easy, and it is very likely that you will lose time duping the coin if you're not comfortable with that trick later. And so, if you aren't feeling like very confident in that trick, just don't worry about duping the coin. Just get it once and then move on. If you are comfortable, you're going to want to dupe the coin, and the way to do that is grab it, run off of this ledge, drop down onto the second stair, and then dash into the painting. And then as soon as the painting starts loading, you jump back in. So the way that looks when it's going fast is going to be something like this. So you'll like never actually see the other area. And then you're going to jump up, dupe it, get the coin again, and then immediately drop down here. And if you didn't dupe the coin, you'll already be down here. And you're going to get another vertical zip off of this rock here. This is a little bit tight, but it's not too bad. Generally, the vertical zips get harder the smaller the rock you're doing them on is, but this one is not bad even for such a small rock. But it will take practice, and you're going to still miss it. Usually not this much. There we go. So you're going to want to cancel it right after you get over that island, like above that island, so you can come and get the second silver coin. We're going to get 10 of them and trade them for a crystal, because we need 9 crystals to beat the game. But anyways, you're going to... So from the silver coin, you're going to run and jump over, and just kind of glide over to this island. Grab the crystal from here, and then you're gonna just run here, straight off the edge, glide for a little bit, and then drop. And you're gonna want to drop onto that like angled wall, and get hit by one of the enemies here, because we're gonna do a death warp, so we need to drop ourselves down to 1 health. Again, you're gonna want to make sure you ground pound into the water. So you can do that while running off the edge without a jump. That's the fastest way to do it. But it's also risky, because if you don't get the ground pound, then you have to just kind of float down, and that's really slow. So you're going to get the coin that's in that cave, and then you're going to come out, and gaining height when you're underwater, it's not, you don't want to mash A, you want to time it rhythmically. So it's something like that. Then get hit by one of these guys. If the orc is in a good position in this cave, you can get hit by him too. But that's just if he positions himself like along the way. You don't want to go out of your way to get hit by the orc, because you can also get hit by that guy if you need to. But now we still need to get hit one more time. And there's an orc on this area that can hit us. So now we're at 1 health. That's what we need. You don't need to wall kick there. I kind of messed up my jump. You can just kind of like jump and roll and get enough height to get up here. And then you want to drop down here and grab this windmill piece. From here, you want to get like a jump with a roll for extra height, and then get a wall kick with a roll for extra height to get all the way up to there. And that wasn't good height, but in general it's not bad, because you want to get all the way back up here in just that jump. from there, here's a tough jump. If you don't feel comfortable with it, like if you just cannot get this jump no matter what, there are alternatives to it, so that's not a big deal. But you're going to want to jump, get a roll for height there, and then get the jump cancel to gain extra height so that you can get a good wall kick off of that wall to get up here. Now that just barely made it. You can get more height than that. And like there, I didn't get the roll off of the wall kick. Otherwise that would have been fine. You can actually even get all the way up onto that ledge there instead of getting wall kick. But that's really hard. Like, so this jump isn't easy. And I'll show you kind of like an alternate route you can do if you don't feel comfortable with this. I don't know what happened there. That was weird. I don't know what happened there either. My second jump just got eaten. Anyways, so you'll get up to here, you'll jump from here up to the windmill piece, and then you'll jump from there to the windmill. If you can't make that jump, the alternate strat is going to be, okay, you missed it, that's fine. You go around to the right side and jump up to here, and then on your way here, you're going to ground pound into this water and grab that coin. Then you can just do some wall kicks here and jump across to here. And that's pretty easy. And then from here you can actually make it to the windmill piece. Now doing that puts you ahead 1 coin on the route, but it slows you down a little bit later. So keep that in mind. It's going to change up your routing a little bit. But anyways, from there you're gonna fix the windmill. Now if you position yourself to like have the coin spawn inside of you, you'll just grab it immediately, but it's not a huge deal either way. That doesn't super matter. And then you'll go and get this oil drum. So from here, you actually need to get up to this area. Now that jump isn't super easy, but there's a few ways to kind of get it as a backup. You can definitely make that jump, and it's not like the hardest jump. It's easier than the jump over by the windmill area. But like, let's say that happens, you can sometimes make it with a wall kick. Sometimes you can't. You can sometimes make that up with a wall kick. Sometimes you can get a good jump out of there to make it. If you're struggling with all of those, but you can do wall kick cancels, what you can do is kind of like go over to this area and then wall kick between these 2 walls. And that works fine. But you gotta find some way to get up here. Grab the coin, and then kind of, you want to get, I hit the wrong part of the wall. Okay. So that can happen. Parts of the wall you can walk on, parts of them you can't. Hello? Okay. The game is very weird about inputs occasionally. But anyways, parts of the wall you can walk on, parts of them you can't. If you stay a little bit more to the left here and you can get enough height, you can walk on it. Otherwise, the best case is that you can kind of jump all the way up to like here, but that's not super easy. You can also actually jump up on this side, and if you can get it to a point where you can actually land here, that also works, but it's a little bit harder. You can land on this section and then kind of like jump up from there. Anyways, whatever way you find most comfortable, you need to get up to the top of the level here. And you're going to do another vertical zip here. So this is one of the easiest in the game. You just kind of line up along this left half of this wall. You don't want to be on this area where it's like super short. You want it to have a little bit of height. You hold forward and then hold forward, hold glide, and then just kind of press A and hold it when you get around here, and it'll kind of just work. Usually. There we go. And then you want to cancel it right around when the dragon is like overlapping that cloud texture. Grab the crystal, and then you're going to jump into the lava to get the death orb. And from here, you can jump up to here. Getting up there in one jump is actually relatively tight, so if you're not comfortable, just jump into a roll, and it's totally fine. From here, you need to get over to that middle section. So what you want to do is jump there. That was really weird, but that worked. So that's one way to do it, is if you, like, the best case is you can actually make it without a wall kick, but it is relatively difficult. What the heck is going on? But you can make it without a wall kick. Like, that had enough height, I was just slightly off on my angle. But it's not too difficult with a wall kick if you're like good at your height gaining jumps. Like there was another one where I had plenty of height, I just took a slightly more aggressive angle than I had the height for, but like there's plenty of height. But once you get up here, you want to run over here. But I guess if you really can't do that, if you really cannot get the height to get over there, there isn't a good backup, so what you're going to have to do is kind of just float over here. And it's not ideal. Anything that has you like gliding for extended periods of time is very slow. So if you're able to, make sure you just kind of jump up to here. Also with that kind of height, I actually didn't need to roll off with the wall kick, that's just kind of muscle memory. But anyways, you're going to want to run off this ledge, ground pound down here, and if you haven't gotten that coin already, to grab it, and then do the same kind of climb out of the corner of there as before. Then gonna try and get to the village. You break this first hut, you break the second hut, or like the one right at the front when you're coming in, and the one right at the back you're gonna break. One of them has a crystal, and the first one has a crystal, the second one has a coin. And now here there's another route divergence, so there is a very, very difficult infinite height, or like a very, very difficult vertical zip that you can use to get into the cart area without opening the door. That is what I would call the hardest zip in the game. If you don't feel comfortable with it, which I wouldn't blame you at all, what you can do is run over into this cave, and then hit this button. and that will open the door to the cart area. Now that loses about 7 seconds, maybe a little bit more, versus getting the zip first try. But that means if you get it 5th try, it would have been faster to just open the door to the cart. So if you really don't feel comfortable doing that zip, just open the door to the cart, and that's totally fine. And then here is where you're going to decide whether you want to dupe the coin at the start or not, is this trick. This trick is not easy. This is, I would say, the second hardest vertical zip in the run. Is getting a vertical zip off of this rock. If you feel comfortable doing that, you want to dupe the coin at the start. It saves 8 to 10 seconds because it lets you go straight up to here. And if you don't feel comfortable doing that zip, that's totally fine. There is a backup for it, but that backup requires you to do a different route. But even so, if you haven't duped the coin, you still want to try for that zip one time, because it costs you nothing to attempt it once. Because you can just then default into the backup strat, which is to do wall kicks along this wall. And that gets you up to here. And from here, you drop down here, and then in this cave you grab the last silver coin. And so if you haven't duped it, that's where you're going to get the last one. If you have duped it, you don't need that one. That one costs a lot of time to get. It's just getting the zip on the rock on the other side is very difficult. Now, from that coin, you still need to do a zip, but you can do it off of this rock, which is generally much more consistent. Then you're going to cancel your zip around here, so you can go and buy the crystal from silver coins from this dude here. You grab it, grab that crystal up at the top, and then kind of drop through and grab this crystal from the cave that's around the middle of the mountain. And then finally, there's one more vertical zip, and then, or no, there's two more. But this is the cart vertical zip, and it is very hard. It is, like, I would say the hardest. There might be one that's more difficult, but that one no one has used in a run yet. But you need to get a vertical zip off of this rock. And sometimes it just decides to let you get it first try, and sometimes you're going to sit here for a while, because this is not easy to time. And if you've opened the cart, you can try it once and then just like go, and I guess you don't have to try it once, just go through the door. But as soon as you get to around like the lens flare effect from the sun, that's when you can cancel your infinite height. And now you're in the cart area. Be careful around this bumper. It'll kind of like bounce you around because it's poorly made. So when you're just on the ground, you want to just like run around the left side of it. And then you're going to go into the cart. Fix it once. That's what the oil drum that we grabbed from behind the waterfall is for. And then we're going to jump in the cart. This section is the worst section in the game by a lot. And that's including the ending, which is actually just a game of Simon Says. So, the cart section is super simple and easy to control. But you're relying on the the boosters on the ground working, which sometimes they do, and sometimes they just like hard stop you. There's it seems like there's an invisible wall in front of you. You just completely stopped, and there's nothing you can do. And we haven't really figured out why that happens. So a lot of the card section is just kind of hoping that it works. This time I got lucky, but I've had the boosters like stop me like 5 out of 6 times before, and it is just luck. So there really isn't much you can do. If you get hit by the boosters, you're gonna have to go around it. Like, see, I kind of intentionally caused this one because I'm pretty sure if you're not going fast enough, this will kind of always happen. But now that's not gonna be fast enough. But at the end of the card section, you also want to kind of make sure you bonk into one of the poles at the finish line, because you want to be, if you don't, your card is going to kind of go flying past that, and you want to be as close to the finish line as you could possibly be. Like, see, if you really wanted to play it safe, you could just not hit any of the boosters in the card section, and that's a totally reasonable thing to do. But when they work, they are a lot faster. Like, you save a pretty noticeable amount of time when the boosters actually work. So it's a trade-off of speed versus kind of consistency. Let me through. If anyone ever figures out why these boosters don't work, please let us know. I'd love to know. Like, if we can figure out a way to make them work consistently, that would make this run just so much better. But try and bonk there. And then grab this crystal. And from here, we need to get to the exit. So that door is actually open on the way out, whether you opened the cart door originally or not, but you're not going to use it either way. Instead, we want to get up on top of this wall. So you can do that with like a good double jump like that. If you don't get enough height, you can do it with a wall kick if you kind of like position yourself well. But that's still kind of difficult. Like there. Otherwise, if you're still not comfortable with that, you can jump from this rock, and that makes it pretty easy. Then from here, you're gonna want to run up, kind of jump there, and drop down into this section, so that you can run more instead of gliding. Then you're gonna jump around this wall, and you're gonna go into the painting from the back. Now here's the last like divergence point. The strat that is currently used in World Record, and the strat that I would recommend for 99% of players, is you're gonna run over to the right here, and you're gonna do a vertical zip off of this rock. And this rock is generally fairly forgiving. It is one of the least annoying vertical zips. It's still annoying, but it's not too bad. Cancel it right around there to drop onto this island and go and drop off your crystals here. There is a faster strat, and I'm going to show that now. I will probably not get it first try because it is not consistent. It is a vertical zip. It is arguably harder than the cart vertical zip. But you're gonna jump into this painting, and then as soon as you can gain movement, you hold straight down and dash, and you're gonna vertical zip off of this rock. And this rock is tiny, which makes it much, much more difficult. Now, I am not good at this one, But this is theoretically a few seconds faster because you don't have to run all the way to the other side. If it ever lets me through. Like I said, I would not recommend this strat to anyone in general, but it is theoretically the fastest way I know of to get up to Simon Says. And that gets you up a little bit faster. Either way, you're going to place the crystals, and then when I hit attack again, it's going to start Simon Says. Now, for Simon Says, this part sucks. I would generally recommend most people to not dash when they're doing Simon Says. Like, don't hold sprint, because you are very, very fast when you do that, and it becomes very difficult to control and very easy to hit the wrong thing. So, for example, if you, like, let's say I get a pattern where it goes yellow, blue, green. So yellow, blue, like yellow, blue, green. That's fine. That works most of the time. But then, like, if I go just a little bit too far on blue, going back onto it will then trigger blue again. And so, like, it's very, very easy to go just barely too far before you turn, and then go past the button and then repress the same button. And if you do that, you're going to fail Simon Says, and it's going to lose a lot of time. So unless you really, really need to save the 3 or 4 seconds, just don't hold dash. Just go ahead and run at normal speed. It's not going to be that much slower. And you need to do this for 8 rounds. And as soon as you lose control after finishing 8 rounds, that's when you end the timer. And one more. And there we go. That's going to be time. And that is Firewing 624 any percent. With a few backups and a few easier strats. It's a pretty fun run. Like, it is a surprisingly good run for what it is. So I hope someone else tries it. And if you do, good luck. And I will also link to the Discord in the description. But it's also on speedrun.com on the page. I guess I'll also link to the speedrun.com page. So, thank you guys for watching. And I hope I will see you later running Firewing.